Welcome to the Grow From Home panel on designing the future of infused products. I am your host, Austin Stevenson. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Vertosa, where we design the best delivery mechanism for cannabinoids. I spent the past 5 years in the cannabis industry as an operator, investor across the entire supply chain, everywhere from cultivation, extraction, formulation, and third-party analytical chemistry. I love products, I love cannabis, and I've had the great fortune of working with amazing people from all walks of life. With me today is an esteemed panel of entrepreneurs, innovators, and true change makers. I have Brandon and Ian at Calexo, I have Daniel at Inana, and I have Catherine at Pomney. I'll let each of them give their background and the reason why they chose the cannabis industry as their foundation to launch their products. And I'll start and kick off with Catherine at Pomney. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys today a little bit about our company and also our experience in the nanotechnology space. So I'm Catherine. I am one of the founders of Pomney, and we are actually a woman-owned topical cannabis company. We're a wellness brand that focuses on cultivating balance within one's life and really offering alternate therapies to prescription drugs on the market. So these are our products. This is our first launch, and we came out with a cooling gel product using nanotechnology cannabis. And honestly, if it wasn't for nanotechnology, I probably wouldn't believe in launching the product at all. It's made such a great difference in basically having an effective product. And so it's really allowed us to launch a product that we believe in, that's super effective. And so really that's why we're here today is to talk about the exciting world of cannabis and how nanotechnology has really made a difference in the value of products we can offer on the market.
Thanks, Catherine. So to be clear for the audience, that Pomney Products is a topical. So we have a topical product that's going to be represented from Catherine. And then we also have some ingestibles, starting with the beverage. So Brandon and Ian, do you want to tell us a little bit about Calexo and your backgrounds?
Yeah, so I came to cannabis late in life at 34 to recognize that I had been suffering from anxiety disorder after incurring cancer that compromised my liver. And in the compromising of my liver, I had to stop drinking. And as someone who really loves the act of recreational beverage, I saw an opportunity to bring the communal aspect of drinking to the cannabis world. The reason we went with Vertosa is we really wanted to create an opportunity that offered sessionability and control to our consumer. And the beverage audience is used to a very specific range of experiences. And Vertosa has allowed us to work with nanotechnology to really accurately pinpoint when and where the THC hits our body and how it hits, and allow us to offer that level of control to a consumer that has not yet come to cannabis.
That's awesome. Thank you, Brandon. It's critical now more than ever as cannabis has become recreational in many states that we provide safe, reliable, and metered dosing opportunities for all those that are looking to overcome any ailments they face. And your story, which I'm sure we'll go into even deeper on alcoholism and liver damage and how that has impacted your life, but also, cannabis has created an incredible opportunity for you that is a story to be shared by others that have faced the same challenges. So grateful to have you and the Calexo brand really kind of be storage in that, better for you alternative. And then we also have Inana Manufacturing, a confections gummy manufacturer, Daniel Yee, with us as well. How are you, Daniel?
So nice to be here. welcome to 2020. I guess this is how we're meeting. I haven't worn pants in weeks, by the way. I'm just kidding. I'm wearing pants. Very nice to see you guys all. A great topic. A little bit about myself. Just like Brendan, I'm kind of new to the cannabis industry. I mean, I used cannabis in college. That was years and years ago, decades ago, actually. But I didn't know this industry existed until about 4 or 5 years ago when I joined this little company at the time called MedMan. And then, I was exposed to this world, and I feel like I've got a kind of a forced PhD in cannabis, over the last 4 years. And it's fascinating. I joke with people that I'm a recovering journalist. In a past life, I was a reporter. My last gig was at the LA Times. I was a business reporter there. So I was a journalist for 10 years. And the thing that is fascinating to me about the cannabis industry today is all the stories, like, from Calexo to Pomney to Vertosa, all the innovation that is happening in this space. I mean, if I was still a reporter, this is a beat that I would want to cover, because there are endless stories, and they're impactful, right? Because I was thinking about this before getting on the panel. If you think about the full history of cannabis, it went from a natural remedy that human beings used for centuries and generations, and it's only in modern history that it became a prohibited drug. And then that prohibition turned it into this kind of recreational, people still talk about dime bags, and a day will come when somebody say, well, dime bag, and they'll say, what the hell is a dime bag, right? But still, most of us here knows what a dime bag is. But now we're going back to being a natural remedy again. And that's why I think products like Catherine's, Pomney, the topical, my company, not a manufacturer, we actually make a full range of infused products. But we're launching our own gummy called Doolce, Doolce. It's a little play on the word Doolce because we're in California, and it's all about diversity and the mixed pot. Like this is the place where we invented Kogi tacos, right? Like Korean barbecue and Mexican tacos. So it's really exciting, and I think the nanotechnology is key to that, because you're talking about a home remedy now with 20th century technology, right? So that you can actually come with, fast-acting topicals, predictable experience when you have a drink. And so super excited to be talking about this topic today.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. I think you mentioned something that's critical for the audience, is the kind of the narrative, the historical narrative of the cannabis plant, on how we're really coming, a 360 or full circle to the origin, which is a natural remedy. And over the years, we were using that natural remedy up into the turn of the 20th century, when there are elements of racism, classism, that ultimately stigmatized cannabis into a drug for the past 100 years. But now, as that stigmatization is breaking down, and we are starting to open up or become more conscious to some of the positive attributes of cannabis, again, is coming right back to its origin, which is as a natural remedy. So it gets very, very excited about the opportunities that this collective panel is creating in terms of access and approachability of cannabis products, from topicals to confections and beverages. This panel is really providing the platform for more approachable types of products. And so before we move on, I do want to give Ian as well the opportunity to introduce himself and kind of his pathway towards the cannabis industry, because it's something that's very unique and interesting. So welcome, Ian, part of the Calexo family. Please share more about yourself and your journey into cannabis.
Thank you so much. I'm Ian. Thank you everyone for having me today. My path to the cannabis industry is really interesting because Brandon and I actually met as undergraduates in art school a million years ago, and became best friends and bonded over art and performance, and really learned about the idea of making an experience rather than a picture. And I come from a family of journalists as well. I'm kind of a second generation recovering journalist, and my parents were writers, and it was really interesting to me about storytelling. They got really evocative in their storytelling and description, and that's kind of the world that I grew up in. It was kind of arts and storytelling, and I got really interested in video myself. Seeing as how a picture is worth a million words, I figured 24 frames a second, you can't really beat it. So I got really into narrative storytelling, And through a fun series of events, working through production companies in the Bay Area, I got to work at X, the Moonshot Factory, which is Alphabet's innovation lab, and became the lead storyteller there, kind of showcasing how emerging technologies are going to impact people's lives, especially around the world. And cannabis is just this really interesting new technology that, or Vertosa has made all these new opportunities with the technology of this super old, plant. It's been around since the earth. And so, when my friend Brandon approached me, having had this new cannabis experience and was approaching it from a new lens of kind of a designer's eye. I, as a person who's enjoyed cannabis my whole life, didn't really see something wrong with it that needed to be improved. But Brandon really kind of challenged us to look at it as designers. And, what we ultimately came up with was these beautiful beverages that we'll talk more about. But, I'm just so excited to have had the opportunity to collaborate with my best friend on this art project that has really ultimately brought us back to how do we design experiences for people to come together around.
Yes, Ian, that's beautiful. I think you captured it very well in that collaboration, I personally believe, is the new competition. And that means that we have to work as a village, as a community, to come together to innovate and to create, new experiences. The story that you and Brandon share, starting in art school, evolving in your own personal journeys, and coming back together to design a unique cannabis experience is exceptional, as it only provides more access to other form factors that folks aren't as familiar with in cannabis. Historically, it's always been smoking something or inhaling something, and now, as everyone has mentioned, technology has enabled us to design analogs to products that people are more familiar with every day: beverages, gummies, topicals. And so before we move on, I did want to give the audience kind of a little brief education piece on kind of what the words that you guys are saying all the time: nanotechnology, emulsion, infusion, what all of that means, because it's something that we're all intimately familiar with. But I think it's important that the audience knows kind of why we're here and why we're able to create these amazing beverages and gummies and topicals. And it does, to everyone's point, kind of start with technology. And so what we do here at Vertosa is provide a platform to enable brand manufacturers and product manufacturers like Catherine at Pomney, like Brandon and Ian at Calexo, like Daniel at Inanna, to design cannabis experiences using Vertosa's building blocks. And those building blocks are emulsion systems. Emulsions are very common in the food industry. Your most familiar emulsion is salad dressing, or even you see emulsions in ice creams and milks. And what emulsions essentially are taking fats and suspending them in water. And so we take something that is traditionally not able to mix with water, oil, and we turn it into an ingredient that disperses evenly throughout the entire volume of any water system. So I like to say at Vertosa, we turn oil into water. And we do that using an advanced technology called sonication or microfluidics. So it's basically energy or pressure, where we take a very dense product like an oil and transform that into a liquid form. And the reason why we do that is because it's our focus to design a more consistent, reliable, and predictable cannabis experience. I think historically, most of us that have tried cannabis in college or before or after has that horror story of the brownie experience or the cookie experience, where we've had one brownie and it was so delicious because the chocolate was on point maybe you had a little bit of peanut butter in there and it just was delicious, but you didn't feel anything for like 30 minutes goes on, still don't feel anything. An hour goes on, still don't feel anything. You're kind of hungry, so you eat another brownie. Then an hour and a half passes, and then boom, all of a sudden you're on the floor. You're knocked out. It's too much. And the reason why that happens is because the product was infused with just an oil. And the oil, for you to actually get that cannabis experience, the cannabinoids in the oil have to pass through the brain-blood barrier. And traditionally, when you smoke a joint, it's quickly going past the brain-blood barrier because you have smoke that's inhaled. But in food, you have to break it down. You have to metabolize it. The oil has to go through your digestive tract, and once it hits the liver, it has to break down, pass through, and then you feel it. So that's why it takes historically so long for the cannabis experience to be felt through a brownie or a cookie. But what we do at Vertosa is we accelerate that process. So we take that oil, and before we infuse it into a beverage or a gummy or a topical, we place it under high energy sonication or high pressure microfluidics to take that oil and break it down into really, really small nano and micro droplets. And in that process, that enables faster acting and rapid onset cannabis experience. The analogy that I typically give is your brain-blood barrier is like a chain link fence. And so in that cookie and brownie college experience you had, it was like taking a beach ball and trying to push that through the chain link fence. So if the beach ball is the cannabis oil, it's just going to bounce back and is going to have to be digested and metabolized for it to go through the chain link fence. So instead, at Vertosa, we take energy and pressure and we turn that beach ball into a pile of gravel. So instead of having to take a big old ball and go through the chain link fence, now you're just taking a handful of gravel, you're throwing that through the chain link fence, and they all pass through with relative ease. And so that's what enables and unlocks the potential of cannabinoids, is to create that fast-acting, rapid onset experience by accelerating the pathway of cannabinoids to enter the bloodstream. And so that's what we do, and we use that in all different systems, whether it be a natural, conventional, organic emulsion, or a THC, CBD, THCV, CBN emulsion. We provide those building blocks so that product manufacturers and infused brand owners can create and design new experiences. And so the team at Calexo, and Ian, you were just mentioning the importance of designing experience. So kind of walk us through your process on how you chose an infusion partner, how you came and settled on the emulsion type, and how that aligned with your overall goals that you're aiming to accomplish in the Calexo brand.
Yeah, I think that for Calexo, I'm going to take this one, Brandon, if you don't mind. The most important thing for Calexo for us was our flavor. The thing that's most unique about our beverages, we have a citrus rose flavor and a cucumber citron flavor. And the thing that's most interesting about each of these is how delicious they are. When Brandon was formulating them, he had this kind of experience with a friend, our other co-founder, Ken, who was making his own oil-based emulsions and told Brandon to kind of hold his nose and take the medicine. And Brandon was like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. And so, we got together and we were like kids in a candy factory working with our flavor house partners, getting to say, dial up the lemon or turn down the cucumber. That tastes like soap. This tastes like bitter. And, when we finally landed on something, it was fantastic. And the universal feedback that we got from our friends and family was, this is unique. We have other things that taste like garbage. Either in the cannabis space, you're going to get something that's going to give you the effect that you're looking for, but with a terrible flavor experience, or is going to have a fantastic flavor experience with no effects. And so we were really, really looking to have a emulsion that was uniform and consistent and reliable, while preserving the flavor that we had designed. And we really are interested in, this is a 22-ounce bottle, and it has 10 milligrams of nano-emulsified THC from Vertosa. And so for us to be able to have something that would give you the volume of experience rather than the intensity of experience is what's important. We want someone to enjoy drinking this and savor the flavor and really revel in the uniqueness of the flavor without worrying about that brownie experience that we know everyone's had, which is, oh my gosh, if I enjoy this too much, I'm gonna lose my mind, or I'm gonna be stuck in the sunken place. And this is kind of the opposite of that, where we were able to find a light and non-conflicting emulsion that allowed us to let the flavor really shine through and have a time-based experience that let people really relax and wade deeper into the Calexo experience.
Beautiful. And so it became, what I'm hearing from you, Ian, is that flavor neutrality in the emulsion was critical. And so that you can design a flavor system around it that was, kind of subtle, light, and kind of enabled the consumer to not only enjoy it once, but share it and then continue to come back again and again, because it wasn't overpowering, like some of the beverages that you see out there today, where it's like too much sugar or just too much flavor, and you have a sip and it's like, all right, I'm good, I don't want to come back to this. Instead, you took the opposite approach and said, all right, we're going to make it a little lighter, we're going to make it very unique, we're going to make it very sophisticated, so that they sip, they savor, they enjoy, they share, and they come back for more.
May I hop in there for a moment? So when we developed our first flavors, it was off of this initial oil that Ken had put together, and we quickly got into the process of testing out the different emulsion technologies. And because the onset time for Vertosa for the emulsion we're working with, we were able to offer that 15-minute onset time that the beverage consumer is used to experiencing. And we wanted to really adapt that intuition we all have because we're all part of drinking culture. And so we went, after we settled upon Vertosa, because you offered us that control, we were able to go back to the drawing board and build flavors based on the nuanced, complex flavor profile that cannabis and the emulsion has, with the intention of amplifying the beautiful flavor portfolios that exist naturally in flower, and use natural juices to really amplify those positive flavors and walk into cannabis beverage with exquisite flavor and pride, and being able to offer that premium experience of a beautiful packaging, beautiful flavor, beautiful experience, and good for your body is the holy grail we're all trying to get to. And Vertosa has allowed us to really amplify to amplify the beauty of the plant, and also make it accessible to a lay consumer who is still terrified of cannabis.
Well, Brandon, I think that's remarkable, and I appreciate all the compliments. I mean, it's a labor of love that, again, we're all collaborating together. And I think what you hit on is critical, primarily that, look, our role at Vertosa is really to make it easy for you all to do what you do best, which is design amazing tasting products. You mentioned flavor neutrality and ease on the manufacturing process, so that you can create new and unique flavors. And I can tell you, with Calexo right here on my desk, it is a beautiful product. It tastes amazing, especially my favorite is the citrus rose, only because it has that botanical essence that we are seeing in the beverage industry, and the direction that people are going in the beverage industry is botanical, is natural, is herbal, and the cannabis plant really speaks to that. Brandon, what you also mentioned was marketability, of fast acting and rapid onset. And that experience becomes critical because you want to have a predictable and reliable experience that you can communicate to consumers so that they can try it, they can feel it, but then also it's not overpowering. Number one, manufacturing is the critical bottleneck here in cannabis infused products. And the designing the experience that is more analogous or more similar to an alcoholic beverage where you're feeling cannabis in 10 to 15, or you're feeling alcohol in 10 to 15 minutes, or analogous to smoking or inhaling where you're feeling cannabis in 10 to 15 minutes. Daniel, kind of tell us a little bit about kind of some of the challenges that you have experienced while your time at MedMen and Infused Products, and kind of how technology has evolved to enable you to do what you do best now at Inana, is manufacture, rapid onset infused products.
Yeah, I think, thank you so much. I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about, what an exciting space we're in. Everything that has been set up to this point by Brandon, Ian, from you, Austin, and Catherine's product too, it speaks to the same central theme here, is that the evolution of this, right? So if you look at, I was looking at some BDS analytics data. In 2018, if you looked at the top 10 products sold in California, the California market, there was one infused product. It was the Kiva Terabytes, I think, out of the top 10. The other 9 were generic flower, right? It gets all categorized the same, different strains. 2019, 6 out of the top 10 products sold were infused products. So we know, everybody in this room and people probably watching this who follow the cannabis industry very closely know that, Brandon was talking about the holy grail, because the consumers are moving toward, infused products, because again, going back to the idea that this is a natural medicine, natural, remedy. It's not a drug in the sense there will be drug applications to this that will come out of this, but from a wellness perspective, things like Calexo, things like Pomney, that is the future. And so when I came to this space, I saw in the last 4 years, I saw the trends. And when my partner Raquel Oregon and I and Jason founded Inana Manufacturing, we were looking for the infusion technology that is going to be, what was the latest and best, because everybody's chasing this, holy grail. And we landed in Vertosa for our gummy Doolce. And we will have some different offerings for our contract manufacturers, but for our own brand Doolce, we picked Vertosa for exactly what you were saying, for that predictability, repeatability, because every other product works that way. When I go and I get, whatever, name any product, if I get a Danone yogurt, strawberry, it's going to taste and feel the same exact way every single time I buy it. Because cannabis industry is still very early stage, and companies like Vertosa are the innovators. We're sort of in the very beginning phases of this, but this is the future. These are the first steps that are going to get us there. We landed on Vertosa because of that, and I experimented with a lot of samples the last 6 weeks or so. So I've taken a lot of cannabis. Distillates, you name it. And we landed in Vertosa exactly for that reason. And from a manufacturing perspective, the liquid, right? And I'm not a scientist, you said it much, better when you were explaining earlier with a beach ball. But in terms of the result, that's what we got, right? When we tested our gummies, they were even, right? Like a lot of, even similar with brownies, even today, most of the gummies probably you find in dispensaries, you're going to get that hit and miss. You take one, it's going to feel a certain way. 2 weeks later, you take the same gummy, it's going to feel a different way, because everybody's got this challenge with emulsification and getting even spread of ingredients, throughout, your entire batch. So from a manufacturing perspective, from Inana Manufacturing, Vertosa and technologies like this are the future, right? And we picked the best for our own gummy for Doolce.
Yeah, no, thank you, Daniel. And I think that it's a critical aspect that you just mentioned at the end there is even dispersion across a batch and homogeneity. And so for the audience, please know that if you're here in California and you're trying any of these products, they are put through an incredible amount of rigorous testing at third-party analytical chemistry laboratories to ensure the safety and predictability of metered dosing. And so if a product like a Calexo beverage or an Inanna gummy or a Pomney topical is at a retailer, know that that product has been tested for potency, for terpenes, for contaminants like heavy metals, pesticides. And so you can ensure that it is a safe product on that retail shelf. But the pathway to getting there and passing those tests, as Daniel was speaking, is all about even dispersion or homogeneity. We want to know, or the retailer and the distributor needs to know, that every piece of that gummy has exactly 2 milligrams or 3 milligrams in it. No more kind of guessing game on, well, is this brownie going to be a heavy hitter, or is this one going to not work? Because we've all seen that in the past, and a lot of that is because of the ingredients that are used. It's very hard, if you just imagine it, to make sure oil is spread evenly across an entire batch. And so then creating and designing ingredients that allow for even or equal dispersion, again, provides that metered, predictable dose. So when you take a Calexo at 10 milligrams, if you drink half of it, it's exactly 5 milligrams. And then you can share the other half and they'll have 5 milligrams. And so that allows that metered, predictable dose that Daniel was speaking to of Coca-Cola. If you have a Coca-Cola with caffeine, caffeinated Coca-Cola in New York, you want to have that exact same experience in California or Tokyo or South America, wherever you try it. And so some of those challenges can really be underscored or illustrated, by the marketplace dynamics. And so I think that Catherine at Pomney has a really unique experience coming from outside of industry and diving into the cannabis industry headfirst with one of the most exciting applications in topical that are really helping to address what people call me for every single day. It's really kind of pain management, stress, and sleep. And it always goes back to pain, and pain. And especially in this year of the pandemic and all things that are going on, there's a big need to kind of release and ease a lot of pain. And so, Catherine, can you tell us a little bit about your experience and journey here, some of the challenges you faced, and really why you chose the topical application as your product to really launch your entrepreneurship journey?
Sure. That's a great question. Well, I experimented with other products on the market, and I kept finding that they were greasy. They would leave a residue. They were applications or in bottles that you had to, or jars you had to use your fingers and constantly dip back into multiple times. And that just overall wasn't an experience I wanted when talking about topicals for potentially pain management. So I really took a long time to develop the product, not coming from the background of cannabis or pharmaceutical or, the topical or dermatology sector. So basically it took me a year to come up with the product and experiment. But I think that that's a great thing about this industry, right? Is that we're all entrepreneurs and that it's a very welcoming industry for entrepreneurs. So for me, the goal was to develop a product that I had goals, like a goal sheet that I wanted to hit. And basically that was things that were like a product that was effective, that actually worked. I was finding that a lot of the oil-based products just really sat on your skin and didn't give you this effect, but you were spending all this money to buy a product. And essentially I was like, I could never sell this product myself if I didn't believe in it. So I wanted a product that worked, and I wanted a product that really absorbed fast, that kind of gave a cooling sensation, because we always associate that with kind of alleviating pain. So I had a whole list of goals, and really I feel that the product we've been able to produce, along with Vertosa and the emulsions that we use. So we actually use a few of their emulsions to create this product. And I can get into that a little more, but I really was able to hit all these goals that I had set for myself when I went to create this product. And again, it was experimenting. It was reading a lot about, a great thing about Google is you can read a lot of scholar papers and find out what other industries are doing, including pharmaceutical industry, who has used nanotechnology for years. And so how are they, developing their topical products? And really that was what I wanted to do, was think like a pharmaceutical company. And with Vertosa and nanotechnology, that is really what we are doing. I mean, we are almost creating a pharmaceutical type of product. I think that our quality is there. We respect a lot of their ingredients. So I took that under consideration, using purified waters, things that would pair very well with nanotechnology and keep it as clean as we could, knowing that it would deliver this incredible experience as a topical. So there you have it. I mean, I really just set out with a bunch of goals. I think the industry is respectful of new ideas and new entrepreneurs, and that's the great thing about it, is you don't have to have a PhD coming into this industry. It's great to pair with people that do, which is certainly out there, that opportunity, such as working with Vertosa. So they do what they do, and we do what we do, and it pairs very well.
That's amazing, Catherine, and I thank you. I'll tell you this, from working with you over the last year and a half, it's a surprise that you don't have a PhD, just because of the level of detail that you provide, and really knowing, what's important to your product, such as ingredient selection, and ultimately how these ingredients play together to deliver the consumer application experience that you're really aimed for. And so it's been, it's amazing. And I think that, tell us just a little bit more kind of about, how you see the market trending now that you do have a product out in the marketplace. Where's it going? Where number one, where can we find your products now? And number two, where do you think the market is going, and what does innovation look like for products like yours?
So we are in mostly San Francisco area at some of the dispensaries on our THC side. And in Southern California, we like cookies, for example, Burners on Hate. We're also on Urban Farm. So a couple of dispensaries up here. In Southern California, we've been expanding on our CBD side, which is starting to find itself into some like physical therapy offices. So very exciting for us. Where do I see the market trending? I definitely see more use of the nanotechnology, which is great for you guys. People just understand it when you talk about it. I think a year ago, they wouldn't have been as familiar with the technology within the dispensaries, but now it's way more common practice. So it's a great opportunity for us to go in and educate as well. So we do educational seminars for our end, so that the bud tenders and people selling the product can really understand the benefits of it. So I think that the industry is going to go from being recreational to a mix, because there's so many products out there that are coming out that have a diverse background, including topicals, but also edibles that can offer therapy and not necessarily a high. So I think what's great about this panel and everyone I see here is that they respect that they're offering products that aren't necessarily just that high dose recreational side, but also potential for actual therapy within the industry, which I think is for me, one of the most important things, just coming from what I felt was important in launching a brand. So I think that's what's exciting. And go nanotechnology. I mean, that's one of the biggest features of the industry for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. In that, technology is ultimately enabling us to design more products. And simply, again, at Vertosa being the platform that creates and designs the building blocks for each of you to create all of these amazing infused products. We have a few minutes left here, and so as we kind of wrap up this segment here, really wanted to go back to Ian and Brandon at Calexo, give them an opportunity and talk about where we can find their product, and also hit on Catherine's point at the end on education. And so how the Calexo brand is educating both supply chain partners like distributors and retailers, but also the end consumer on their product and the future of infused products, and how they can enjoy more together. So Brandon, Ian, tell us a little bit of the creative stuff that you guys are doing to increase more access and increase awareness for infused products.
Yeah, so we look at the way the market is going is access to choice, and the legacy market and the current flower market is really focused on high THC, and what we've really focused on is excellent experiences. And the way you do that is by creating larger opportunities for choice. And so while we're starting out in this 22-ounce bottle with 10 milligrams of THC in it, the intention, which we are starting at the end of this quarter, is to put our drinks in 12-ounce cans with 2, 5, and 10 milligram options. And the intention of that is to create products that adapt to your body and your endocannabinoid system rather than having a one-size-fits-all system. When you go into a store to buy a shirt, you get the small, medium, large, and you can kind of identify how and where you fit in that system. By creating drinks, we're basic with 2, 5, and 10 milligrams. Our intention is to offer that introductory space to the non-consumer. Over 50% of our population drinks more than one drink a week. And so we are finding that people are trying to move further away from alcohol. And so we want to be that access point to people and offer a similar experience. We are currently available throughout California, except for San Diego currently. So we are at Caliva, Sweet Flower. Ian, do you want to jump in on here? Onalife, Sava.
Yeah. In the Northern California, we're in Onalife in the Bay Area. They deliver to Marin in San Francisco. We're in Soulful in Sonoma County. In early November, we'll be going online with Sava, who delivers throughout the Bay Area. We'll also be going online with Caliva throughout the Bay Area. In Southern California, we're at the Sweet Flower shops. We're at Bud and Bloom in Southern California. The Pharmacy also in Berkeley, Santa Barbara, and
the Pottery in LA.
And if you go to Calexo.co, we have a map of all of our locations.
You mentioned the role education plays in all of this. And so a lot of our designing of our products are bound up in education. So the packaging for this initial bottle is 10 milligrams in 22 ounces. But when we have the 2, 5, and 10 milligram options, the pattern changes to inform the consumer the intensity of the experience. But all of our design and all of our intention is around offering people access to control. And what we have seen in a lot of our research is that the non-consumer or someone who has tried cannabis is that they never feel in control. So Vertosa and Calexo allow people to have that consistent opportunity to explore cannabis and feel safe and in control of their experience.
That's amazing, Brandon. I mean, there is a favorite quote I have is, genius is in simplicity. And so you've really taken education and brought it
and bottled it.
and brought it inside and out, right? So it's not only you dialed it in and have created a controlled experience inside, but also in wrapping the product itself in helping to educate and inform the consumer, in the packaging design itself. And so I think that level of intention and consciousness around product design that goes beyond just the beverage itself, but also in the packaging is something that, you really see the cannabis industry champion, and, innovators such as yourself are really helping to lead the way. So I get excited about what you have coming in the 2, 5, and 10 milligram choices, because I am the guy. I love choices. I'm the guy that will go to the store, get the large, medium, try them all on, all the different colors before I make up my mind. So I think that's beautiful.
So if I could just add one more thing there. I just want to say that Brandon and I learned in art school, when people are going to a museum, you're lucky if you get 7 seconds of their attention when they're going past an art piece that they've paid money to go into a museum to observe things. So we just want to reinforce that people make judgments. People are looking at a shelf of product and they make judgments based on how your product looks. And we noticed early on in developing our company that the level of people who are going to raise their hand and say, hey, I want to buy a big bag of flour, that market is saturated. So we need to get more people who are not going to be attracted by the current marketing or products that are out there into the shops or into the conversation somehow. And looking at, the brands that are put together on this panel, it elevated the conversation to a different space. And the tone of the conversation has really given people pause, and we've caught different people's eye. And that's how you get the opportunity to even have this engaging conversation where education is possible.
Yeah, I mean, that is incredibly remarkable. And, I think I have to use that data point from the art museum, because you're spot on. I mean, when you look at these, and I'm sure Daniel can speak of it from his time in retail at MedMen, in that you do only have this limited and finite amount of time to capture someone's attention. And most of these brands out there right now are new brands. Cannabis is a new industry. So there's not that historic brand equity that has been built. And so you have to have that intention, not only in the product itself, but people have got to choose that product before they taste it. We know at Vertosa, once they choose that product, it's going to be great. But you got to influence that choice. And you've done an impeccable job at Calexo of really creating something that stands out, that draws attention, and all of the noise that goes on at some of these retailers. So Daniel, kind of wrapping up this segment, where can we find and work with Inanna? What is your prescription on the direction forward in the infused space? And how would you educate our audience on products to choose, or for those that are out there that are curious of designing something, how they can do that with you?
So I think a common theme that has, in all of this conversation, I heard all of you actually say it. Choice is evolution, right? And we are very much at that stage, that sort of tipping point in the cannabis industry, because we were just a one-note piano, right? Like you can hit the C note on the piano, and you can kind of create a rhythm, and people can get into the groove of it. It's like ding, 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 ding. And then you realize there are 6 more notes and infinite octaves, right? And so, and then you can create a symphony, and then you can create different kinds of music that appeals to different kind of people. And I saw you were mentioning, my experience in retail. I was a total newbie to this industry when I joined MedMen, but I could see that when I was at their first dispensary in Santa Monica, West Hollywood on Santa Monica Boulevard. I saw the people walking in, and they were asking for different things. Like, I don't want high THC. I want something to help me fall asleep. I want something that I can put on my back pain. And to Ian's point, the days of people just coming and wanting bags or eighths of this hybrid or that strain, there will always be that segment of the market. But that's gonna, proportionally speaking, that's gonna become a smaller segment of the market, because people want choices. People want to address the different things that they want to, address in their wellness and their lifestyle, be it for social reasons or be it for medical reasons, right? So I think all of this that is happening in our industry, and with a small sample here, is a big example of that. And I feel like I would bet everything that I have that this is the future. This is because I've seen it. I've seen the trends and all the vectors pointing in that direction. And that's why for Inanna Manufacturing, as a contract manufacturer, you can find us. We're, to be completely transparent with you guys, this is all happening in real time. So what we have built so far is inannamfg.com. That's our contract manufacturing website. Doolce, the gummy, the in-house brand that we're doing with Vertosa Infusion, that was a brainchild of Raquel Rigel, my partner, and she wanted to come. She's the daughter of Mexican farm immigrants. She's like the quintessential American story, right? So, and California too. And she and I really hit it off because I come from all over. I was born in Korea. I was raised in Brazil. I came to LA as an adult. Went to college in Boston. So. It's everything that is happening in the cannabis industry and happening in California feels like, was all leading to this moment for me in my life. So with manufacturing, we get to play in all of these fields, right? We get to play with, like people say this as almost like a throwaway, but it's really not hyperbole. I being in this industry, every day I come across a new idea. Now, some of them are not great, but everybody's got a new idea. And that's what's really, really, exciting about this space, right? So with manufacturing, we figured as long as we do it professionally, we show up and we do it with, we're trying to get away from cannabis manufacturing, and we're actually consulting with people outside of cannabis to help set up our manufacturing. So we're very, lean, we're very cost effective. And we're always on top of the newest innovations, like emulsion, like Vertosa emulsion. So you can find us in inannamfg.com. For Doolce, the gummy, we're expecting to launch this fall. We're dialing in the last flavors, and it's going to be super, super exciting. Like, mango chili, pina colada. We just want to go crazy. It's going to be the kind of flavor that if you're the kind of person who goes and buys vanilla ice cream, this is probably not for you. But if you go to the Ben & Jerry and you're looking for the funkiest flavors of Ben & Jerry, that's probably what we're going for.
I love it. I love this panel. That is that level of creativity and innovation that is super exciting. I'm definitely the guy that eats probably, being transparent, maybe a pint, maybe 2 pints on an off week of Ben & Jerry's, and it's always the funky, crazy flavors. And so that's what it's all about. It's having fun and designing, new cannabis experiences, with the entire supply chain. And so, for the audience, if you're, looking to jump in and, start your own entrepreneurial journey, this panel is all accessible, via LinkedIn, and to help share their story, some of the good, the bad, the ugly. Here at Vertosa, we're here to help design those experiences with our platform. But if you're looking for a manufacturing partner and you're in California, definitely visit Daniel Yee and the Inanna team. If you're in pain, or you have someone that's in pain and looking for an excellent topical solution, go shopping and ask for Pomney in your Bay Area retailers. And if you just want to have a party and create, a new sessionable experiences using beverages, find Calexo online. They're distributed throughout the entire state. There's so many more products that this entire panel is coming up with and continuing to design. Feel free to ask questions, stay curious, and look out for more innovations and product evolution as we continue to collaborate and work together to build this category. So I thank all of you for joining us. Again, my name is Austin Stevenson, Chief Innovation Officer at Vertosa, and I thank my esteemed panel for all their participation, guidance, and support. So thank you all. With that, I will bid everyone adieu and just thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us, Austin.
Thank you.